This library was dedicated 7 years ago. It looks like it was just dedicated yesterday. That's how the community prizes this wonderful library. And it shows you things like this can take place in any community and the commitment they have for education, which is really important. I want to thank all those that are involved here in regards to combating the vacant buildings, which has a huge impact upon homeowners and those who are living in the community, in block clubs and community organizations, and what is taking place. And the economy has really hurt the whole issue of home ownership. And not only home ownership, but also renters, in not only here in the city, but throughout the country. It's becoming a major, major problem. Of course, the procedure, once it gets in foreclosure, then it's about a two-year delay, 2 years. And the buildings are vacant, they're boarded up, the boards are taken off, they're boarded up, reboarded, boarded up, boarded up. You know, people get in and out. It's almost a 2-year procedure, legal procedure. Just think 2 years. That's a long time. It's a long time. And I can talk to any homeowner who's right next to a foreclosed building will tell you, Mayor, it's like life. I have to deal with this problem every day, or the alderman has to deal with it. And then in turn, everybody else has to deal with it. So we have really brought a lot of community organizations and people who know about the issue, especially the fire and police department. How much it cost you for that building? And we have documentation. Every time a fire is called, every time the police is called, streets and sanitation, everyone's called, it costs you money. You're paying for it. We're paying for this abandoned building. So in Illinois, nearly 1 out of every 8 mortgages is delinquent or in foreclosure. In 2009, banks filed more than 22,000 foreclosures against Chicago homeowners. So that's almost a 2-year delay. As the national economy struggles, we continue to see high numbers of foreclosures, not just in Chicago, but all over the country and in Illinois as well. In fact, the report just last week said that foreclosure activity in Illinois rose last month, even though it fell nationwide for the first time in more than 4 years. Almost 19,000 properties in Illinois got a foreclosure-related notice in April. 19,000, which is up more than 38% of April 2009. And that's happening more and more in the suburban areas as well. Many hardworking families continue to have a hard time meeting mortgage payments that have grown beyond their means. Why? Someone's been laid off in the family. Someone has lost their job. Someone's hours are cut back. Bills are piling up. Son or daughter graduated from college, own student loans. Who's going to pay for those? So there's a number of problems. And this isn't just their problem. It's everyone's problem, because foreclosure has the potential to slow down the progress we have made in any block or any community. Foreclosed vacant properties have a devastating impact on homeowners and communities. These properties are a breeding ground for all types of things. Nobody wants it in their neighborhood. It's a breeding ground for guns and violence, drug use, drug dealing, vandalism, arson, prostitution are hanging out in there. Foreclosures are very expensive. Also, we have many fires in those buildings that affect your insurance policy, affect the whole block. They impose significant costs of borrowers and lenders, neighborhood owners, and others with interest in nearby properties. They cost the city and our taxpayers a lot of money. Hear that? A lot of money. It's estimated the increased cost of providing city services to vacant buildings is more than $25,000 a year higher than it is for an occupied property. Today I'm here to tell Chicagoans that the city is taking aggressive action in several ways to make sure that the owners of vacant properties don't neglect them and recover the millions of dollars they owe the city from building code violations, demolition charges, water bills, all types of responses, fire, police, streets and sanitation, all the other expenses that we place on. We anticipated this problem as nearly as 2006 when city developed a new streamlined procedure so that the departments could more efficiently coordinate efforts to address troubled buildings. The Department of Housing Troubled Buildings Initiative allows us to take aggressive action against problem buildings. Since 2003, we have rehabbed or reclaimed more than 5,500 housing units under the program. Then in 2008, we passed an ordinance strengthening the maintenance requirement for vacant properties and increasing the responsibility of owners. They have responsibility. Before the ordinance went into effect, we had 1,600 vacant properties registered. Since then, we have 7,831 registration of vacant buildings. That's been a major step forward for us in our ability to monitor troubled buildings. Already in the first 4 months of this year, 2,901 buildings have been registered. In addition, the amount of money collected from registration fees is increasing as well. In the first 4 months in 2010, the city collected $720,000, up from $390,000 over the same period last year. Typically, the types of property I'm talking about remain vacant for several years. Majority of them end up being owned by lenders, many of whom haven't done what they should be doing to secure these properties. We're not going to let them avoid their responsibilities under the law, their duty as corporate citizens. So last year, we began discussions with 8 major financial institutions that controlled thousands of vacant properties, owed the city millions of dollars in various fines, charges, and fees. As a result, the banks have increased the registration of all their properties. They're demolishing more of their properties on their own because it doesn't cost the taxpayers any money. They have allotted more resources to dealing with vacant buildings. We are close to reaching settlement agreements on the money the banks owe us as well. We've also established better overall communications on the subject with the banks so that some cases can often be addressed without incurring the expense of going to court, which is really important. Once they go to court, it's forever there. And that is the problem. It continuing. I made it clear to the banks that it's their responsibility to take down dilapidated properties that threaten the safety of the block and of the community. As a result, both demolitions and board-ups by private owners, including the banks, have increased considerably since last year. There were 283 demolitions by the city in 2009, but in just the first 4 months of 2010, there have been 105. We estimated a substantial increase in the number of vacant buildings taken down by the city by the end of this year. And these are very dilapidated, dangerous buildings. We have people independently tell us whether or not we could save these buildings. You have independent voice on those, which is really important, and what it would take to reclaim the properties, which would be enormous. There has been also a 10% increase in demolitions carried out by individual property owners. The city expects payment from the banks and private owners when city's resources are used to address abandoned properties. In 2009, the city collected $1.6 million from property owners for demolitions, board-ups, cleanups, legal expenses related to troubled vacant buildings. That's a 42% increase in collections, representing nearly $500,000 in 2009 than 2008. Enforcement of property owners not in compliance with the city ordinance is also increasing tremendously. During the first 4 months of 2010, the Chicago Police Department personnel have issued 5,486 citations concerning vacant buildings, an increase of 50% from 2009. In addition, to prevent further neglect of these properties, the city has established a first-of-its-kind daily alert system to deliver emails to registered owners of vacant properties. The email includes a rundown of all 311 and 911 calls involving the property, as well as any arrests and violations related to the property. By doing this, we hope to prevent long-standing neglect, create a paper trail for the parties responsible for property upkeep. Our CAPS program staff, working with the building department, has begun an outreach program to inform neighborhood residents by using door hangers about the dates of the buildings scheduled to be demolished on a block. It's part of a broader strategy to develop community and faith-based partnership that involve residents in keeping their neighborhoods safe, whether it's by attending beat meetings, fighting against the code of silence that protects criminals, or keeping the city informed about troubled buildings. Not far from here at 69th and National, there's a building that have been in court and out of court since 1996. It's all types of violations. The neighborhood business owner complained about squatters going in and out of the building. The city filed suit against the building in housing court, which helped force the owner, an individual, not a bank, to begin repairs. After a lot of work and a lot of time, the building finally welcomed a commercial tenant early last year. Building by building, block by block, we're keeping our neighborhoods stronger and stronger. We also had success working with the courts to expedite demolition-related foreclosure cases. The circuit court has agreed to let the city file foreclosure cases in housing court rather than in chancery court, thank God, which allows the city to take ownership of the vacant lots more quickly once the demolitions have occurred. So they would transfer right over it just for $1, which is really tremendous, instead of going through the whole chancery routine. The residents can find out everything they need to know about vacant properties, track the property owners to the courts by visiting the website of the city's building department. As I said, here in Chicago, we anticipated the foreclosure problem years ago. We began to address it. We recognize the magnitude of the problem, its impact on Chicago families, its potential to slow down the progress we have made in neighborhoods all across Chicago. But that's why we'll continue out to assist our Chicagoans in getting help the first sign of trouble when it comes to paying their mortgage. If you have any problem with your mortgage, please call our website. Please immediately call 311. Just dial 311 and say, I have a problem with website. Where can I go to a neighborhood housing meeting? I like to sit down with somebody about my mortgage. The earlier we get there, if you're a senior citizen, regardless of what has happened to you, please call 311. We'd rather have you on our file working with you immediately than to go into foreclosure. Because once foreclosure starts, you ban your property, you lose everything, and then from there, we lose another home in the city. And so we ask everyone to really call 311. Thank you.